Hi, everybody. Welcome back to my vlog. I am doing this right before I go to bed. Just got ready, 10:40 p.m. Going to upload this super shortly after it's done uploading on my Zoom. But I just wanted to do a quick recap of my day. And I think majority of these vlogs are going to be about me and really just talking about behind the scenes of what's going on as I grow my business. Obviously, it's something that's hot topic for me right now. And I think the biggest thing that I want to anchor into, especially for today or like the last couple of days, is just really feeling like, how do I blend the two of balance? And I remember when I had to watch two of my nephews, I think it was back in November when I just got back from doing training. I was abroad. And it was the first time that I had ever actually experienced taking care of kids on a consistent basis. It was like 2 days, and it wasn't even like me actually like taking full on care of them. It was me helping my sister, and then finally getting a glimpse of, oh my God, this is super intense. And so right now I'm vacationing with my whole family. And I was on a client call earlier today. It was later in the evening. I thought I would actually have free time just because, everyone's like keeping them busy. They're taking care of them, whatever. But sometimes it just shows you that you can't really control the things that you think you can, especially when it comes to kids. And I'm whispering right now because like they're in the other room and they're taking a nap, not taking a nap, but they're all eventually going to bed. And I remember just working with my client. And then all of a sudden, my nephew comes in and he starts screaming, trying to be super funny. And luckily, I was working with a mom. And so she totally got it. And it was just, I did a story about it. And there's just this balance of how do you have that new identity, or like still retaining onto your old identity of becoming someone who is growing their business, but then also trying to find the balance of your ideal, day, or how you want to spend your day. And it was interesting because I recorded a podcast with someone. Her name is Petya, and it's called Abundantly Rich. And with her, we really talked about the transition from running your business as a maiden versus running your business as a mother, and the different type of characteristics you'll start to have and how you start to grow, right? Um, she mentioned for her and her experience that as she became a mother, she just became very resolute in the things that she wanted to give up because her time was so limited. And what happens to your time as a mother when things often get constrained, when things often get compounded. And so today I really felt like the overarching theme was really about channeling the mother archetype, seeing it throughout my day, um, you know, hanging out with the kids earlier, doing that podcast, and then working with my client who is a mother. And so I got to see how all of these women are mothers, but then seeing how it influences their life in a very, very different way, right? And some of the choices you have to make as someone who is in charge of someone else's life, and how you also have to balance your own time and know when your reserves are being tested, or when your reserves are diminishing. What do you actually need to do? And so for me, it was really about learning, sometimes you just can't control certain things, and you have to be okay with that. And it was interesting because one of my coaches, she had recently shared about how she's helping taking care of, her new, I think it's new nephew or niece, I'm not really sure. And how she is still running her business, but she's not making it a big deal about the things that she has to do. She's just doing it, not making a fuss about it, being completely neutral about it. And it made me reflect on sure, there are some things I want for myself when I become a mom, such as having more time, having more freedom to show up, to be able to do the things, show up for my kids. And I mean, like, and also being able to work and afford, bringing my children to childcare, because it is hard to work and have, a child that you have to take care of at the same time because they want your complete full presence. Like it's either you hanging out with them, being completely present, and you can't be working, you can't be on your digital screen. Like even with my cat, he even knows, like he hates my phone. He hates my phone because he knows it actually takes away from me being present with him. And so, me recognizing that, me recognizing, okay, like, earlier today, in the very beginning, when I was hanging out with them, we went to this train town and I was thinking, oh, I don't want to have to work later on, but I learned to reframe it as I'm really grateful that I have the flexibility in my work schedule to be able to hang out with them and work later on and stack clients later on throughout the day, right? And show up for my commitments later on throughout the day. And that's just the nature of it, of like how to have that neutral mind. And I talked about that concept in my recent podcast about how to, also manifest from this neutral place, and that body actually does get activated when you do Kundalini yoga, because there are 10 different bodies in the Kundalini yoga system. So the first body is the soul body. Then you have the negative body, the positive, then you have the neutral, right? And I found myself, the deeper that I got into that practice of Kundalini, that the more I started to do it, the more I'd have that negative thought. Then it would be immediately replaced with a positive thought. And then because I was able to have the positive and the negative, it became neutral, right? So it unified that duality. And that's where I was truly able to see the significance. That's when I started to see the significance of how potent that Kundalini practice was because it just started happening. And it wasn't something that I was trying to conjure up. It wasn't something that I was trying to control. It wasn't something that I was trying to make habitual. And so that's why I know that Kundalini works, is because for me, it becomes this natural way of being without having to force it. The only thing that I do is I take action on the repetition of my spiritual practice. I take action on the fact of doing Kundalini. And then all of a sudden I'm able to see the results. All of a sudden I'm able to see the fruits of my labor. And so, you have, I want to go through all the 10 bodies though. So you have the soul body, you have the positive body, you have the negative, you have the neutral, you have the physical body, you have the or no, I think it's arc line. Then you have the aura, then you have the pranic body, and then you have the subtle energetic body, and then you have the radiant body. So those are the 10 bodies that you go through. And there's actually this kriya that balances all 10 of the bodies. And there is numerology associated with the bodies. So there's one that could be considered your karmic body, soul purpose body, all of that stuff. And then if you find yourself out of balance, there are certain kriyas to balance you in that particular body, so you can show up the way that you're truly meant to, solely connected to your spirit, which is pretty amazing. I love that. I love doing that. But so that's just what I notice is, how do I have that neutral mind? And so it started coming up for me. And, how do I be neutral to this experience? How do I be neutral to knowing like, okay, this is your life and this is the life that you've chosen? And I think I'm at that point in entrepreneurship where I'm still surprised by of like debunking the myths that I thought it was, and truly understanding the reality and the situation of it is, and realizing like, okay, do I actually want this? And I talked about, how in relationships you have this curve of the first year, you're really just getting to know each other. It's kind of a honeymoon stage. Second phase, it's like, it's still honeymoon stage, but it's not as super intense and potent, and you're not just running off of oxytocin. And then the third year is really about, okay, now you know who this person is. Now you know their faults are coming out even more. They're really showing their true self to you. Is this something that you want to be a part of? Is this something that you want to be, co-creating a life with? And for me, this is that period where I'm starting to realize, oh, okay, like the beer goggles are coming off and I'm starting to understand. And so, do I like it? And it was interesting because this morning I thought to myself, the only difference or the differences between my corporate job and what I have now is I like my boss, I like myself. I really, really love what I fucking do. Like I can spend hours doing it and I don't complain necessarily on the work that I'm actually doing because it genuinely excites me. I'm super fascinated. I'm super interested, not only in the content and what I'm trying to build and who I'm trying to help. I get really, really passionate about it, but also the business side. Like I had no idea that I actually liked running a business until I got into it. Sure, it has its gripes of having to do it alone, but at the same time, it's like I wouldn't have it any other way. And it's sort of like this obsession or puzzle of trying to figure it out and succeed in it that has kind of dominated my mind. And so I can get pretty obsessed and fixated over it because I'm just that type of person. Like, I actually really love a mental challenge. And if it's the right challenge, I will really, really step up to it. And this is something that I've stepped up to, fully. Granted, it's not like I feel like now I'm totally understanding what's at stake here, and fully getting a grasp of like, what does it mean to run your own company? What does it mean to set strategy? What does it mean to like really show up in all areas of your life? And so it's just really, really helping me like kind of just dive in more into that persona essentially. And so I love that piece. And what else do I love? I don't make as much. I don't make as much and I work more. I work a lot more, which is something I didn't know. I mean, like, you could think I'm stupid, whatever. I don't really care. But I think it was just because a lot of people were selling me these ideas that I would make money just sitting on a beach, sipping like virgin pina coladas, getting Stripe notifications. But I've talked to a bunch of entrepreneurs now afterwards where they're just like, no, that's actually not the case. And so now I know the difference between people who actually market themselves as business coaches. And I always ask people, if I do decide to work with a business coach, how many businesses have you actually run prior to you deciding to become a business coach? And there are actually people who will say like, oh no, actually just like, I never had my own business. And so I'm thinking, okay, so it's basically like me talking right now saying I know how to help you run a business when I haven't had like a multi-million-dollar business. Right. And so to me, that is the credit factor. Now, when I look at people and I think about people of like, okay, it's not just you need to be able to walk your talk and have the experience that backs a lot of the solutions or how you're trying to, you know, define what your niche is. And so that's something that I've learned because I've realized that there are a lot of people that can say they can make so much money or they can just put these pretend testimonials. And it's like when you really get down to it, it's like, because I see that happen a lot, honestly, in the coaching industry. You go in it for maybe 1 to 3 years, then you have some ideas of what's working, what's not working, and then all of a sudden you get into business. It's like, think about me, for example. Like, sure, I have my actual business, and this is behind the scenes of me helping it, take a hold of it and wanting to get it to be to a place where it's super successful. I have like really big dreams. I'm super ambitious about it. I really firmly believe in that. And I'm talking about it because it is my experience and I'm talking about it in real time. I think the thing that I really want to normalize is there are so many people that talk about their beginnings, but they don't actually talk about it in real time. You only talk about it in retrospect. And I wanted to do something very different. And, granted, I have a small audience right now, but it's something that I really love and talking and sharing about because the more that I am transparent about it, the more it gets other people, it gives them truth about the experience or just my experience. And then when I step in my truth, it allows other people to step in their truth. And so that is ultimately my wish. It's ultimately my contribution of how these vlogs are coming and shaping to be. And so essentially it is, a 30-day experiment, but at the same time, it's allowing me to hone so many different skills. It's allowing me to be more confident. It's allowing me to see, what resonates with you all. And if at the end of the day, it's like when we go through these experiences, the ultimate deciding factor to me is whether or not it's actually helpful to you. And so I hope this inspires you in some way to go after your dreams. Sometimes people may not support you, but that's okay. That's totally okay. And tomorrow I'm actually doing my women's circle. So we'll see how that goes. It's going to be during the time when the little kiddos are awake. So hopefully they don't come in here screaming again. My family's going to take care of them. But if they do, it's fine, right? It's like fine. It happens. It's normal. We all, like, the reason why I got into entrepreneurship also is just trying to blend the two together and see what it's like, because at the end of the day, I'm essentially the person that is responsible for running my business. And so that's something that I'm trying to learn too, is right now at this point, I am trading dollars for time. I'm trading time for dollars. I'm still in that, like 9 to 5 type of structure. And so really thinking about, okay, how do I want to create freedom in my business for myself, where I can deliver great value while still keeping, reservations on my time and how I spend it in a way that's more impactful, not spending it so much in the business, but on the business, right? And so I love that you're on the journey with me. Thank you so much. Feel free to follow, subscribe for any new episodes. I just dropped a podcast also today, so check that out on the different playlists. Sacred Femme Alchemy. It's all about my new program, Rebirth to Radiance, which is a 6-week Kundalini program. You know how much I love Kundalini, how much it's transformed my life, and I just want to be able to share that beautiful, beautiful practice and have such impact. And we will be going through all the different areas in your life of trying to just really, really, truly step up and just transcend those blocks that are blocking you in areas of loving your body, really seeing it as a beautiful temple, how to use your creativity, how to be more joyous and free in your inspiration, how to be fertile in that area, right, of your creativity, of the things that you want to bring to earth, but things that you want to manifest. And we'll be looking at leaning towards your dharma. What is that for you? What lights you up? What are the money wounds that are blocking you? Are you afraid to be seen? Are you afraid to own your voice? And then we'll get into relationships. So whether it's romantic, whether it's at work, whether it's family, we're going to be diving into that. And then, of course, celebration. So I'm super excited for the program. I will leave the link to check it out. It begins September 23rd. And I'm really excited. It's going to be a blend of immersive workshops as well as Kundalini yoga kriyas and meditations. So it's tools that are very, very practical that you can take into your life on a day-to-day basis. And there will be accountability, private Telegram, portal to connect with other people, and also get additional audio trainings from me, answer any questions. That way you can have, access as well and support. Because the hardest thing is, when we do a session, we feel that type of momentum, but what happens in between? So I want to make it as impactful as I can in those 6 weeks. But anyways, I hope that this vlog inspired you, and I am looking forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Feel free to leave a comment. Feel free to like this. Feel free to share how this resonated with you. Always love to hear with you and just what's on your mind and how I can support you. All right, I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye.